Why it is so hard to process the trauma memories. If you are someone who's experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder, it is very likely that you're ongoingly asking yourself the same questions. Why I can't just forget about what has happened? Why I can't just put the trauma behind me and just move on as everyone else? I've talked already about this in my other videos in context of other problems, but this one is just a very short video focusing only on this very specific question: why it is so hard to actually process trauma. Dissociations are not only symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. They can also happen at the time of the trauma or just after the trauma event has finished. And the function of those dissociations in general, it is to protect us humans from feeling maybe extreme physical pain, also extreme emotional pain. But then what happens as a side effect of the dissociation is that we are not able to process what has happened during the trauma event. Our memories are then held back and are not stored in a correct part of our brain. And then what happens is, as a result of that, people later, when they develop post-traumatic stress disorder, are experiencing flashbacks or intrusive memories. And that's why many people who are experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder, very often they complain about having fragmented memories of the event, not remembering much, not really being able to form a coherent narrative of what has happened. And in addition to that, what happens as well, because of not being able to have that coherent story. Sometimes they're being disbelieved about what has happened because of this difficulty of actually creating a coherent narrative, because of this difficulty of actually having full memories of what has happened. People are unable to process the trauma memories and store them in a correct place. So that's why those autobiographical memories, so our personal memories of our experiences, of our maybe childhood, when they cannot be stored in a correct place in our brain, they can be recalled very easily. Means they can be triggered very easily. So whenever there is a trigger, the memory will show up with really strong emotional response. On the other hand, when we can store the memory where it's supposed to be, the memory will be recalled whenever we want it to be recalled, and it's not gonna bring this huge emotional response with it. And that's why we called trauma memories as intrusive memories or flashbacks, to differentiate them from the normal memories. In some situations might happen as well that people, they might not be able to have these visual memories, so they might not have the images, but they might have this huge emotional response to certain triggers. On the other hand, other people, they might also have maybe only physical responses to certain triggers. And I think that might be even more confusing and more difficult to deal with for some people, because there will be more self-blame. Some people, they might become very confused, like, what has happened? Why I got suddenly so angry if there's no really reason? Where if someone at least has the flashback that includes some images at least, that maybe makes more sense and might not then trigger as much self-blame. And then as a result of these intrusive memories or flashbacks, people, they will be re-experiencing very intense emotional or even physical distress. So then what our brain does, it takes us away from that. So when the emotional or physical maybe pain is not bearable, that's when we start dissociating. So for different people, dissociation, that can happen in different ways. Sometimes people, they might zoom out, just like maybe look in some specific direction for maybe a few minutes. So they might not be entirely out of the situation where they are, but to an extent, they're not gonna be in that situation anymore. For some people, it might go to the extent where maybe they will faint. Other people, they might dissociate. So again, they will be taken completely out of their reality and they're gonna be in a very different place. In a way, dissociation is there to protect us so we don't feel that extreme emotional pain, for instance. But on the other hand, it also prevents us from actually processing the trauma memories and storing them in the correct place. That's why when we work with people with post-traumatic stress disorder, first of all, the main focus is on helping people to actually feel safe in therapy room, helping them to feel safe in that relationship that they build with therapists, and also helping them to develop certain grounding techniques that can help them to keep themselves away from dissociating, so that then we can help them to actually process the trauma memories, put them in the right place in the brain, so that we kind of break this vicious cycle of flashbacks and dissociation. So that will be it for today, and if you found this video any helpful, then please like it, subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. And thank you. Bye bye.